Welcome, David Bassa and Sari Sagiv from the Stero-Canaline Canamore group. David, you're a common guest on my podcast. We've had some interviews, and everyone just saw the video that we helped to produce for you at the hospital with some of the leading experts at Clalit. David, let's start with you. The Canamore-Canaline Stero group of companies. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So our clinical study started with a disease called graft versus host disease, or GVHD, which is a very bad complication of bone marrow transplantations, where the bone marrow or the immune cells of the donor attack the patient, a fatal disease. And when we gave CBD in order to prevent or treat a disease, we had very, very good results. We saw that we can actually reduce the incidence of GVHD from something like 50% in the controls to 8 to 12% in the treatment group. Also, when we tried to treat the disease, when patients already had the very high grades of the disease, we saw that in 10 patients with very, very bad prognosis because they had already grades 3 and 4 of GVHD, we were able to see 90% response after giving 3 months of CBD.
And David, you then came into Talent through your collaboration with Clalit healthcare system, which is one of the largest HMOs, the largest HMO here in Israel. Tell us about what that has spurned for you in terms of the discovery that you've made and the patents that you've written for steroid reduction and cholesterol and all of the other companies that you've managed to take from that research that you've done at the hospital.
Yeah, so the first one, the steroid sparing company, that IP came exactly from the trial that we did in the GVHD. And that was part of the discussion with Clalit to separate the GVHD disease to the steroid sparing one. And at that point, Clalit started to introduce us to various IP that was created by its physicians. Once we did the exit that brought immediately $20 million cash and stocks, and later on milestone payments and royalties, Clalit trusted us to give us more IP, and that's in order to reduce the usage of statins in case of lowering cholesterol and triglycerides, or in other fields that are currently in research, in bowel disease, and in bronchiolitis, neuropathy, and several other diseases that are now under research by our team.
And so I guess only GW is a little bit further ahead of you, but you've got 14 active trials in various phases of FDA approval, from phase 2 to phase 3, GVHD being the most advanced of your portfolio. Can you tell us a little bit about doing clinical trials in Israel and the collaboration that you have with the TTO at Clalit?
Yes, I would like to say that this list includes the ones that we sold, the ones that we are doing, and the ones that we are planning to do. I think that, Sari, you, with the help of Clalit, you are leading that. Perhaps you can add some words on that?
Sure. Part of my time, I also work at More Research, which is the technology transfer of the Clalit. So I have a very, very good relation with the doctors and with Clalit. And doctors at the Clalit not only bring these ideas, but also when we approach them with our own ideas, they're very keen to help us and to do clinical trials. We do CIC approvals very fast, so we are able to start many clinical trials at our hospitals. Right now in Stero, for example, we are running 2 clinical trials at the Mayor Hospital, which is Crohn's disease, steroid-dependent Crohn's disease, and urticaria, and we're starting another 2 in lung disease field and in cancer. We are trying to do also in our hospitals and many clinics. We have 14 hospitals and 2,000 clinics, so we are able to really do clinical trials very fast.
Something very important related to our cooperation with Clalit is our ability to perform those clinical trials in a very low cost considering the rest of the world. You can estimate a phase 2A study wouldn't cost more, that is planned for a year, wouldn't cost more than $500,000, and that's pretty good amount of spending when you're talking about clinical trial that is running according to the regulations of the FDA.
And typically, David, how long would it take from ideation or from early data that you've collected through to establishing a full clinical trial?
It takes between 1 to 2 years to finish preclinicals, sometimes in vitro studies, sometimes in vivo studies, sometimes formulation, sometimes regulation. So this will take between 1 to 2 years. Just for example, with the steroid company, we started in 2017, and we initiated the first patient in December 19. With the time, experience is stronger and better, and we reduce this preclinical timing.
And for people that have joined us from across the world, tell us about the type of collaboration that you're looking for and how they could get involved in what you're doing at the Stero Canamore Canaline group.
Well, I'm aiming more towards the pharma companies. So currently pharma companies are not so much within cannabis, though, you know, there is a yearly conference in Boston. This year it will be the 3rd conference, and all the audience are pharma people. So the pharma is watching. Still, due to federal legalization, they are still waiting and not moving in. Once they will move in, and you know, when we'll see that, when Pfizer, Johnson, or Novartis buy GW for $10, $20 billion, at that point, this will be the sign that the pharma will enter this field. As mentioned before, there is very few trials that reached phase 3. Most of them are of GW. There is 1 or 2 more running, and the next will be those that are in phase 2, where we are quite a major player. And we would like pharma to support us either with license, either with funds, either with licensing that will enable also to do the phase 3 clinical trials in collaboration with them all over the world.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us at the Israel 360 Deep Dive. People will be able to connect directly to you on the interactive map. And we wish you continued success with all your clinical trials. Saving lives is the most important thing that we can do with these technologies and compounds.
Thank you, Saul. I forgot something to mention is that all our clinical trials and IDs and disease are based on IP. In the steroid company, we already got the patent issued, and it covers about 130 different diseases. The rest are in different phases. So all is according to being protected by IP. Thank you, Saul, for the amazing opportunity of being in this cannabis virtual conference. I appreciate the effort, and I think it's very important that you continue bring this kind of message to the world.